Moors don't give it away. Yo, Moors don't give it away. Every time that I accelerate the copy, I'm the master tape. Our mothers and the fathers great. Give me the...
Put one on in case people in the audience are not familiar with what children are receiving in this county. If you're over 12 years old, you can have a free breast binder. And just to give you an idea what this looks like when you put it on a child, a 12-year-old girl can get a free breast binder through Communicare, through this board, to flatten her breast so she can pretend to be a trans boy. These are given out free by this county. The penis tucking kits are available to boys 12 and over so they can take their penis and tuck it into their groin to give the appearance of being something other than a male. Why would you want to lie to children? Why would you want taxpayer funds going to these kinds of garments for our children? It's time for you to have some courage, to be brave and speak out. We have an unfolding medical scandal, and you five are the ones supporting it. These breast binders, and I'm just going to put one on in case people in the audience are not familiar with what children are receiving in this county. If you're over 12 years old, you can have a free breast binder. And just to give you an idea what this looks like when you put it on a child, a 12-year-old girl can get a free breast binder through Communicare, through this board, to flatten her breast so she can pretend to be a trans boy. These are given out free by this county. The penis tucking kits are available to boys 12 and over so they can take their penis and tuck it into their groin to give the appearance of being something other than a male.
And don't forget, the A, B, C, D, E, F, whoever's, they're doing this under civil rights. Don't forget. Remember, civil rights supposed to be unconstitutional since 1800s. And then the black guy's been trying to get civil rights forever. Nothing. But then A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whoever's could use civil rights, and their stuff is being implemented. How long has black guys been trying to get the white guys to do something? Been a while, huh? It's been a while. Nothing. Can't even get anything for their people, for their children. But they have kits. They have A, B, C, D, E, F, G kits. Remember, no consent. Keep in mind the consent. Keep in mind the consent. The agenda that you see them pushing so hard on the heirs, you know that's civil rights that they're using to do that, right? You know that's the only thing that they could use, because they can't use human rights, because, you know, they're making up stuff. And anything color is not real. If it's color, it's not real. And all of this is color. All of this. These people complaining, and then you ask any one of them, hey, you got some identification? And then they're going to pull out some provincial, state, whatever, and thinking that that's them, when that's not really them. And the people who are up there, that they're saying, you guys shouldn't be doing this, they're saying, hey, you guys got some ID or whatever like that, and then they're going to pull out some state, provincial, whatever. Which should let you know it's about time you start your own stuff, isn't it? You still waiting for people to do something good for you? How come you're not pissed off? You've been trying to use civil rights forever, black guy. Forever you've been trying to use civil rights. Forever. Celebrating traitors when they die and all that stuff. You still got nothing. And right now, black guy's daughter, is wearing the thing that she secretly got and all that stuff, right? Because she's trying to be a butch. Black guy's daughter. And he's sitting there playing games. Playing civil rights games. And don't even figure it out. It's going on right in front of their damn face. And they still don't see it. It is what it is. It is what it is. And of course they're going to have their boys.
Was talking about the original Hawaiians being black. Yeah. And this Hawaiian lady, current Hawaiian lady who's mixed with shit, she said she got mad at what I said. The first Hawaiians were black. Yeah. And I go, you got mad because I said they were black. And she goes, and you pronounce words. I go, first of all, I'm not Hawaiian, so I might have made a mistake in pronunciation, but you're splitting hairs. You're mad because I said they were black. You're not mad at my pronunciation. You're mad because I said they were black.
Yeah, and you should be mad because black is some BS. And everybody knows black is BS. Even Godfrey knows black is BS because he's Nigerian. Stop the BS. And then everybody, yeah, the Hawaiians are black. And then Hawaiians are mad at you now because you're taking this term that has absolutely nothing to do with human beings and you're applying it to some indigenous people. You think they're not supposed to be mad? And then the black guy is mad that they're mad. Saying, we're talking about it. No, they're not black. That's the problem. That's why they're mad. Because black guy, you're talking crazy. Hawaiians are Hawaiians. They're not black people. They have their own nation. They're not black people. These are their boys. These are their boys who have nationalities in the background, right? Just like Farrakhan and all the rest of them. Everybody has a nationality in the background. They're coming out telling you that you're black. And then you're going with them that they're black. But you're not going to go with Elijah Poole Bey? Like, what you mean you're not going to go with Elijah Poole Bey? You're going to honors to Elijah Muhammad all day. Okay, whoa, Elijah Poole Bey. Because that's the foundation. No? You're not going there? Oh, interesting. You go with the guy telling you that you're black Asiatics and all that. Asiatic black man. You're going to ride with them. Oh, but you're not going to ride when you're a Bay. You're not going? Okay, how about... Okay. Let's see. How about ASAP? How about ASAP Rocky?
You know about the Moors?
Yeah. Well, from what I've heard about them, I feel like they were the first, like, they were black, right? Like,
they were black.
Black tribe.
They were black.
But they also went through a lot of persecution as well, right?
Well, basically, they developed Europe in a lot of different countries. They were rulers, emperors, and kings of Europe.
All right, so if they were rulers, emperors, and kings, then they weren't black. If they were Moors, then they weren't black. It's a hex. How they throw it in there as if it's giving something some credibility or something like that. Hey, you're tainting the stuff. Well, you're putting stuff in the water we're supposed to drink. What do you mean you're putting stuff in there? What you mean? Isn't it water already? What more who are you? Doing stuff to stuff. What about ASAP Rocky? He knows about the Moors. And then he's talking to DJ Academics. So DJ Academics knows about the Moors. So what? So what's going on? What you waiting for? All your whoever's know. We already told you Farrakhan knows. He knows. You think Roland Martin and all them don't know about the Moors? Who you think doesn't know? Playing around. That's why I love Moors. Because Moors just find stuff. Moors just happen to be at the right place at the right time all the damn time. If Sports Center knows If Sports Center knows and you don't know, the F out of here. The hell you talking about? Sports Center knows and you don't know? We might as well just pack it up then. How much more do you want? How much more do you want? Is there a reason? Do you need more? How are you debating Moors about where we're not Moors, where the MUURs and they got fezzes up on the Sports Center? The F out of here with your BS. Whatever it is that you're claiming. I don't care what you're claiming. If Sports Center knows, I don't care what you're claiming. Everybody's trying to wake up, you big dummies. Everybody's trying to wake you up. You just sleep. Love sleep. Oh, you so love sleep. Like you love sleep. And guess what Drew Ali said? Moors, you sleep too much. What else is there for you to get for this thing to register? Now this is where it's at. Either you know the truth or you don't. And then, oh yeah, and then for whoever missed it, because you know people like to be convenient with their stuff. If Vogue knows, how come you don't know? How does Vogue know and you don't know? They will play with some other people. Because there's no escape. Everywhere you turn, you're gonna see this until it registers in your brain that you're not black people. Like we said, everybody knows when it comes to fezzes, that means Moors, right? Okay. You say you're black, right? Okay. She's black. She's black. So if she's black and she's a Moor, then how are you black? What the hell are you talking about? How are you black if she's actually black, but she's a Moor? Because we know fezzes mean Moors, right? That's either Masons or Moors. Well, that fez doesn't look like it has any markings or anything like that. So that's not the Masonic one, right? Scott ain't have some marked fez up there talking about Shriners and all that. Yeah. You need more still? You have serious issues. You might have to go check. Just go check just to be sure. Because you might have some screws loose. You need to tighten. You just might. I don't know. I'm just saying. You just might.
You know about the Moors?
Yeah. Well, from what I've heard about them, I feel like they were the first, like, they were black, right? Like,
they were black.
Black tribe.
They were black.
But they also went through a lot of persecution as well, right?
Well, basically, they developed Europe in a lot of different countries. They were rulers, emperors, and kings of Europe. And today they depict them to be Arab brothers, but they were actually black brothers, African brothers. And so they taught the European civilization.
A resensitization of history too. Like, a lot of people who are darker skin tones, when you see statues of them, they kind of lighten them, or they kind of, he who controls history kind of, he gets to, it's usually whoever who's conquered and who the winners kind of rewrite the story, right?
You ever see Jake Paul visiting the Vatican or some shit like that? Yo, he be going off like, this, they got this person as a merchant. This is a Moorish queen. She ruled for da-da-da-da-da. Yo, this is crazy, like da-da-da. And he be catching backlash on TikTok off that shit, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's the truth. The truth of the matter is people get caught up in colorism. And history is history.
Well, people get caught up in colorism. So then why is saying black then? If you know people get caught up in colorism, then why is saying black? Oh, to appease the N-words. Make them feel like they belong to stop the BS. The black stuff is BS. If the ABCD whoever's could use civil rights, have a fake flag, have a fake gender, have a fake hair, and be a nation, and get all the benefits that come with civil rights, they supersede everybody in getting benefits. And then behind them, it's the other foreigners, whichever foreigners they want to come get peace. And then these goofs want to keep playing the colorism game. Just like saying, think about it. Knows so much that it's colorism that they're playing. And turn right around and call somebody black. Don't fall into that trap. Because you just neutralized your whole talk. Your whole point is now null and void just for you identifying somebody as the colorism.
And the thing is just how to depict or differentiate rewritten history, untold history, and what really fucking happened. And the truth is, what really fucking happened, some of it we'll never know. But I do have, an idea of what, happened. And it, legend has it that these guys, history tells it that these guys came to Europe at a time where, they were sleeping in the cabins with the animals, and it was like a bunch of disease and stuff. And we taught them running water and soap. We bought that there. We bought architecture there.
Right, that's the Moors they're talking about, not black guys. You go check right now about who civilized Europe, who ruled Europe for 700 years. And don't be listening to those people with their BS about, it was just Europe only and all that stuff. Great Wall of China is Moorish. That's Moorish. All that Tartar crap people are talking about, that's Moorish. They don't say everything, just not to say Moorish. Why don't they want to say Moorish so bad? They say all type of other stuff. As soon as start, and everybody starts looking around and looking at their feet, and the Moors, right before slavery happened, there's 800 years of history right before Egypt fell. And then, interestingly enough, right before Egypt fell, they made the Moors the custodians of the ancient Kemetic knowledge. So then, if the ancient Egyptians passed it to the Moors, then the Moors ruled with it for 800 years. And then the modern European inherited the Moorish, changed the names and all that stuff like they talk about, the victor gets to tell the story. Change up stuff, try to say that here is there, up is down. Try to cause confusion. And then you became black guys. And then you were black guys and you came here on some ship, and then there's some story about you being somebody's N-word. That you're mad when they call you N-word, but then you call each other N-word like it ain't nothing. Like a big dummy. And you think the people not looking at you like a big dummy? That's why they don't want to deal with you. It's not race. It's not colorism and they don't like you. They hate you because how you look. No, it's not. Because you're claiming to be a fiction. You're claiming to be a corpse. Why would anybody want you around? You're a corpse. Don't get mad at them. So everywhere you hear it, you're replacing it in your mind. Oh, you're black, oh, yeah, Moors. Every time you hear them say it. Oh, the black people, no, Moorish people. A black man was not a Moorish man. In your mind. Because that's really where it matters that the change happens. Out here, this stuff is assimilation. You can't go with that as the reality. Got to be something higher that you're calling to. But you're only going to tap in if you know that you're a Moor. You're not tapped in yet. You think you're tapped in. I know about my spiritual. Oh yeah, what's your nationality? Well, that doesn't matter. Spiritual nothing. You don't even know what you're talking about. Lost in the sauce. Because they don't want to accept the reality. And all they have to do is accept it. As soon as you accept it, you get the wake up. Then you realize that you've been wrong the whole time. It really is about nationality. It really is about knowing that we're Moors, knowing who we are as a people for real. Not knowing the fiction and embracing the fiction as the reality, which, has been the pattern because we follow all the N-word leaders that we've been given. And then we followed them blindly, they were just the fiddler playing their flute and all that stuff, and we got played. But if A$AP Rocky's telling you, like, come on now. Come on. How much more do you want? And he's not guessing, right? He's talking convincingly about these people, the Moors, and you hear him talking about we and all that stuff. So he's accepting it as he's part of that. He accepts he's a Moor if he's saying we. When talking about the Moors, he accepts it. He knows. Again, it comes down to, why don't you know? How come he knows and you don't know?
So this is the 1661 portrait of the King of the Netherlands.
relabeled in the 1800s as two black men, then renamed in the 21st century as two African men. You can't make this up. They keep renaming this. This is a Rembrandt. This is, I think it's hanging in the Netherlands, in The Hague. Now, they've repainted this. This is the original level of craftsmanship, or the level of painting. Rembrandt's traditional, masterful oil painting technique. There's some edits may be made to the faces.
There's nowhere in history, nowhere, that a black guy was a king. Nowhere. Only Moors were that. Go and check. Charles the Moor, Moses the Moor, Othello the Moor, the four Moors, Moor standing at the gate, Moor holding a bird. There were so many Moors everywhere. Everywhere. Every language. Moors in there, and it means those guys that dress like that and wear that and move like, yeah, the Moors. In their own language. Moors there. How is it so hard for our people to embrace that because of this sorcery they got them under? And they're going to stay under the sorcery once they keep following the N-word leaders. Because they had a prophet that was brought to them. And they don't want their prophet and his teachings. All right, then, you know, take all the BS that's left then and suffer for it. Don't get mad. Once you know the truth, then that's what are you going back to the lie for? Unless you're under some type of sorcery. So as usual, you know, this is for the two in the back. Because most who've been studying, they already know what's up. They're just here for a little camaraderie and a little
dishonest. It means precisely the same thing as colored people, which is an insult. So if you're not willing to say colored people, you shouldn't be willing to say people of color. And besides, to me, the whole idea of color seems a bit specious, really. I mean, what should we call white people? People of no color? Isn't pink a color? And in fact, white people are not really white at all. They're different shades of pink and olive and beige. In other words, they're colored. And black people are rarely black. I see mostly various shades of brown and tan, and in fact, some light-skinned black people are darker than the darkest white people. I'm sorry, lighter than the darkest white people. Look how dark the people in India are. They're dark brown, but they're considered white. May I see the color chart, please? People of color is an awkward phrase that obscures meaning rather than enhancing it.
Oh, my God. Oh.
What should we call fat people? People of size? I also don't say African Americans. I find it cumbersome and confusing. Which part of Africa are we talking about? Egypt? Egypt is in Africa, but Egyptians aren't black. They're like the people in India. They're dark brown white people. But they're Africans. So why wouldn't an Egyptian citizen who becomes an Egyptian who becomes a U.S. citizen be called an African American? The same would apply to South Africa. Suppose a white racist from South Africa becomes an American citizen. Couldn't he call himself an African American? If for no other reason than just to bother black people. And what about a black person born in South Africa who becomes an American citizen? Is he an African American or is he a South African American? Or is he simply a South African American African? You know, it's just so much more tedious liberal labeling. Liberals should be taught that labels divide people, and I think we could probably do with fewer labels, not more.
And Noble Jawali tell you that in the 20s? That the labels are BS? You're not Negro, black, colored. You have a nationality. Oh, that's the slave master. That's the slave master. George Carlin's the slave master, so we're not gonna listen to. All right, okay, all right. Let's not listen. Okay, let's not listen to the white man. All right, fine.
Here's the thing, because a lot of people ask, well, how come our people go to jail and their people don't? Because their people didn't break any laws. Remember, you, the Goyim, and the Gentile, these same individuals wrote these laws for your ass. You ever seen a bunch of Hasidics in a prison cell anywhere? No, you haven't. You're looking at this thing wrong. You signed the agreement that said if you run a red light or some shit, you broke a law, even though nobody got hit, right? You signed that shit from birth with these birth certificates, Social Security, this, that, and these agreements that you agreed to. So when you act other than the supreme being that you are, the consequences is you agreed to go to jail for this shit. While we do far worse, but doesn't apply to our law. This is Gentile law. Read the protocols of the elders of Zion. And then you begin to understand how come they keep getting away. They're not getting away. It doesn't apply to them. It applies to you. All right? And from birth, they teach their babies, you are above these people. You can do anything you want with a Goyim, a Gentile,
a Negro, a black, a colored, a African whatever, a Indian whatever, a white, a orange, a light-skinned black, a dark-skinned brown. Get it? Still don't get it? You still missing it? All right.
These lovely politically incorrect statues.
They are correct. These people were princes.
They don't look like princes. They look like they're in servitude.
How do you know they're black slaves?
Well, look, they've got loincloths on in submission, right? So let me ask you.
Oh, what do you mean they're in submission?
Of course they're in submission.
Do you know why they're like that?
Because they've got their hands up. Please,
no,
please help
no,
me.
you do that. It's because the glass table goes on top.
Yeah, shut the F up. Right? Moor coffee table. What's a Moor coffee table? A Moor coffee table is a table with a Moor holding the glass. You know, loincloth and all this BS, that's irrelevant. The point is it's a Moor coffee table. It's not a black coffee table. It's not an African American, African Canadian coffee table. It's not a Negro coffee table. It's not an Indian coffee table. It's not the ancient African black gods of whatever coffee table. It's a Moor coffee table. But no, that's not enough. Fine. FOH. Blackamoor side table with a Moor holding the table with a turban on, gold, and all that stuff, looking like some ancient Egyptian or whatever BS people want to play around. This is not some ancient Egyptian side table. This is a Moor. And go find me the Negro table. Bring your claims. Bring your Indian claims. Where's the Indian tables at? Stop effing around with Moors. See, we're talking because we're bored. Get on game. Everybody knows who the Moors are except you idiots that want to keep playing games. Blackamoor side table with glass. There's a Moor with the turban. Black. Is it a black? Is it a black? No, you can't use black unless you put Moor on it. That's the only way you can use black to identify somebody is if you put Moor on it. The only way. So when they talk crazy, and say, and they say this BS right here, right? The man right there is Moorish American national. Blackamoor. The only way you can put black is if you put Moor there. There's no the black man is God. That's a lie. Because there's no such thing as a black man. How you know that? You can't say there's no such thing as a black man. Yeah, I can. Because Noble Drew Ali said that there's no such thing as a black man in the 1920s. And nobody debated him about we're black and all that stuff. Nobody. No Pan-African who ever went and said, yo, I want to debate you, Noble Drew Ali, like how they do that BS today. None of them. None of them. And the last one that meant anything, which is Marcus Garvey, ended up in prison and visited by Noble Drew Ali. While all these Garveyites left him to rot in prison. Only Noble Drew Ali went to go check him. Get the F out of here. All these people left Garvey out to hang to dry. Sold his ass out for $3 mail fraud. And nobody stood up for him. Except Amy. Of course the matriarch stood up for him. Of course. Why wouldn't the matriarch? And praise Allah for her putting out philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey so we can get the letters that he wrote from prison to the Garveyites, letting them know where direction they're going in. And all of them sold him out. Parading around with red, black, green, what? You're not repping for no Garvey. Because if you're repping for Garvey, you're repping for Drew Ali. Because Garvey is in Noble Drew Ali's literature. The hell are you talking about? Playing around. But it's okay. Don't worry. You can play. You can play all day. Brass Blackamore coffee table. Stop the BS. Don't F around with Moors. We know what we're talking about when we say we're Moors, and everybody knows that we're Moors. A table knows that it's a Moor. If a table knows that it's a Moor and you don't know, who's the big dummy? Who is it? Keep playing around. You're only playing yourself. And Jeru told you you're playing yourself. You're still playing yourself. That's how we know where it's at. That's how we know. You know, you don't be talking crazy to Moors. Think we don't know what we're talking about? Why wouldn't we know what we're talking about? We're Moors. We study. We don't just sit around and do nothing. We don't just go to stuff to pump fists in the air and all that type of BS. We actually study. And we read. And we buy books before we buy food sometime. Effing around. You don't want to know yourself. People playing around. Antique bronze blackamoors. Right? And this is the support. You don't even get the glass. No glass for you. No glass for you. You just get the support for the glass. Get your own damn glass. Still Moors. And they're black, aren't they? So if they're black and they're Moors, how some people looking like this telling me that they're black guys? When these are Moors. That's two Moors. Playing around. You can play if you want to. No problem. No problem. You're only playing yourself. You know? And all that emotionalism you go through, mad at Moors and Moors are condescending. Why are you talking to me like that? And all that BS. FOH. Because we already been told by Noble Drew Ali is few faithful Moors already. We already know that everybody's sold out. We already know everybody's sold out. We already know that, right? The hell? We already know everybody's sold out. If Moors sold out, then everybody goddamn sold out. Right? Everybody. And they just don't want you, you don't know that they sold out. Telling you about your everything except Moors. When Moors everywhere. Blackamoor side table. Oh, let's get you. You gotta do it, jerkies. Right? That's a Negro? That's a black guy? That's not a black guy. No. If the table knows that it's a Moor, then you must be you must be a colossal dummy. If a table knows that it's a Moor, you sit there, you play whatever game that you want to play. You play whatever games you want to play. Playing yourself. Keep playing yourself. You'll learn. Might be the hard way, but you'll learn. Honors to all the matriarch. So now that it's over, don't you dare fall for some one day honors and then going right back to subjugating you. Don't be playing women's BS, feminist BS disguised as a woman stuff. Because we still see today, that it's all about cast aside the matriarch. That's where they've been at. Like, this is Encyclopedia Virginia. Like most Europeans, their Christian faith had deep roots, and they perceived the natural world as a place that could be shaped by supernatural forces. Witch trials had been a part of English life for centuries, and Parliament had passed a law criminalizing the practice of witchcraft in 1542. So the men and women who settled the English colony at Jamestown would have considered witchcraft to be a real and punishable offense. The English colonists believed the indigenous people they encountered to be the devils, or at least devil worshippers. In their descriptions of Virginia indigenous people, the Jamestown colonists often use supernatural terms. John Smith described Paramount Chief Powhatan as more like a devil than a man, while George Percy recalls the indigenous making noise like so many wolves or devils. Alexander Whitaker, an Anglican minister, reported that he found the indigenous to be very familiar with the devil, and observed their priests are no other but such as our English witches are. Now keep in mind that the over there witch trials were under the Inquisition against the Moors. So when they get over here and they start their witch trials over here, that would obviously mean that they saw Moors here. Because the Inquisition they brought over here and exercised the exact same stuff that they did to the other Moors and any other Moors where they go in the world. But it's never enough. It's never enough. There's a lot. There's a lot. Silencing the divine, myths, patriarchy, and the eternal diminishment of the feminine. These are the people who are telling you happy Women's Day and all that. Across cultures and eras, myths have been wielded as tools to reflect and reinforce societal hierarchies, with women and the feminine divine often diminished or vilified. These stories provide a mirror to the positions women occupied in their respective societies, where they were frequently seen as subservient, dangerous, or in need of control. By exploring these narratives region by region, we can uncover how myths both reflected and shaped the roles of women, while also imagining how these tales might be reframed to challenge those entrenched hierarchies. In Greek and Roman mythology, women were often positioned as instruments of fate, their choices either irrelevant or framed as catastrophic. Consider Medusa, a mortal punishment not for her actions, but for being violated by Poseidon. Her transformation into a gorgon, a monster whose gaze could turn men to stone, represents society's need to vilify and exile women who symbolize power or defiance. Now remember, these are the Greek and Romans, by the way. We ain't even getting to certain people yet. Reframing her story as one of survival and resilience shifts the focus from her supposed monstrosity to the injustice of her punishment. Similarly, Pandora, cast as the bringer of all suffering by opening a forbidden jar, has long symbolized a cautionary tale about female curiosity. Yet, her story could just be easily celebrate curiosity as the spark of human progress, challenging the notion that knowledge is dangerous when sought by women. So it's always been an agenda to keep you not seeing the divine feminine within self, so that some of this stuff could change around here. Right, this is the reference with humanity written on her, letting everybody know that that's where humanity comes from. And it's all connected through her. But if she's asleep, and she doesn't know herself, if she thinks the Negro, black, colored, African, Indian, and all that, then we get what we get. Patriarch taking a position. And again, go right to the front of that Quran and say, know thyself. And then you look around and you see, masculine energy or whatever like that around here. There's a lot. But this is your stuff too. So don't be coerced or turned away because there's an imbalance. Go get some more sisters so that there could be balance. And it's not some control, whatever. It's recognizing you're it. Just like Yahshua said, ye are gods and all ye children of the Most High. And everybody's looking around trying to find something to go pray to or worship. In Norse mythology, women were afforded slightly more complexity, but often at the cost of being diminished into singular archetypes. Freya, a goddess of love, beauty, and fertility, was also a figure of war and death, claiming half the warriors who fell in battle. Yet she is often reduced to a caricature of vanity or seduction, overshadowing her true power. Loki, a non-binary figure, embodies disruption of societal norms, yet their defiance is treated as chaos to the subdued, reinforcing the idea that those who challenge traditional roles must be controlled. These tales highlight a society where women and those outside binary gender expectations had power, but only within tightly policed boundaries. In Hindu mythology, women often symbolize virtue and sacrifice, embodying ideals that reinforce patriarchal expectations. Sita, the heroine of the Ramayana, is lauded for her unwavering loyalty and purity, enduring trials to prove her worthiness as a wife. Yet reframing her narrative reveals a critique of the societal pressures placed upon women to endure suffering in silence. Similarly, Draupadi of the Mahabharata stands as complex figure of resilience and defiance. Gambled away by her husbands and humiliated in court, her refusal to be co-ed is a testament to her strength. But her story also uncovers systematic injustice that women faced in patriarchal societies. And the patriarchal societies have never worked ever since they started implementing them. Never worked. As soon as they start talking about stop planting female trees and all that, you know where they're going. As soon as they have you already know where they're going. Celtic and Gaelic traditions often venerated the divine feminine, but even here, echoes of patriarchal control emerge. The Morrigan, Morrigan, the Morrigan, a goddess of sovereignty, war, and prophecy, is frequently mischaracterized as a harbinger of doom, her power reframed as something to be feared rather than respected. Stories of Selkies, mythical seal women, who were forced to remain in human form when their skins are stolen, reflect themes of captivity and male control over female autonomy. These narratives reflect societies where women had spiritual importance but were still subject to the confines of patriarchal structures. Going back again to what Black Dot was saying, being subject because you're making some claim. You're making some claim that you shouldn't be making. You're making agreements, you're making contracts that you shouldn't even be making. You shouldn't be involved with those. And then getting caught up. On top of not honoring the divine feminine. Indigenous stories too offer insight into the positioning of women within their societies. In Aztec mythology, Coyoxui, the moon goddess, is dismembered by her brother. These names are off the chain. Symbolizing the suppression of female power within a militarized patriarchal framework. By contrast, the Haudenosaunee story of Sky Woman places the feminine at the center of creation, highlighting a worldview that revered women's roles as life givers and stewards. Yet, even these narratives have been overshadowed or reinterpreted through patriarchal lenses over time. Finally, the Abrahamic traditions have perhaps the most enduring influence on contemporary gender roles. Eve, cast as the first woman, is blamed for humanity's fall, her quest for knowledge framed as disobedience. Yet reframing her story reveals her a seeker of understanding, challenging the narrative that knowledge and autonomy are dangerous for women. Lilith, demonized in her Jewish traditions for refusing to submit to Adam, stands as a symbol of resistance, her story reclaimed by modern feminists as an assertion of equality and self-determination. So as you hear, it started out as honors to the divine and ended up in some patriarchal hands, and it's been in their hands ever since. Because like Drew Ali showed you, she's asleep. And she's waking up. He's waking up. But that raging phoenix that just destroys everything, waiting for her. Waiting for her. It's time. The erosion of the feminine, divine, marks another striking theme. Many early cultures revered goddess as symbols of creation, wisdom, and power. Yet over time, these figures were either diminished or replaced by male-centric pantheons. The Morrigan, once a sovereign goddess of war and prophecy, is reimagined as a harbinger of doom. The Shakti force, representing divine feminine power, exists largely to serve or complete male deities. This shift reflects a broader societal move to subordinate the sacred feminine, aligning mythology with patriarchal governance. Going again into jurisdictions that you're not supposed to even be in. How are you divine feminine end up in some patriarchal governance? Huh? What have you been doing? No wonder you're in the arms sleep. Victim blaming and silencing from the foundation of many myths. Is punished for her victimization. Cassandra is disbelieved despite her prophetic truths, and Koyuksau is dismembered for challenging male dominance. These narratives ensure that women's suffering is seen as self-inflicted or deserved, reinforcing the idea that women must remain silent and compliant to avoid similar fates. In silencing these voices, myths not only erase injustice, but also deter others from speaking out. Which is why once you know the truth, you might as well say something. If you know the truth. Because maybe if it's not for you, it'll never be told. It would never be told. But it's been a mission of them, try to have the divine feminine not in the place that she's supposed to be. And honors to the ones who found their way and tapped into what they're supposed to tap into for the salvation of us all. This is Sociology of Mental Disorder by William Cockerham. The authors of Malleus Maleficarum argued that it was women who were chiefly addicted to evil superstition. The reason for this assertion was that they believed that all witchcraft was derived from the carnal lust, which they maintained was satiable in women. Men, on the other hand, were generally protected from witchcraft because Jesus Christ was a man, and by his being born and suffering for humankind, males were saved from becoming witches. As Sazas comments, in short, the Malleus is, among other things, a kind of religious scientific theory of male superiority, justifying, indeed demanding, the persecution of women as members of an inferior, sinful, and dangerous class of individuals. Historically, it has been very convenient for men to support the belief that women are inferior and the need to be subjugated and cared for. The dictates of the Malleus match the ideas of the many males. So they've been going at you, making you a witch, having the things that are from nature be evil. All the good stuff that you do with your herbs and all that, your crystal balls and your tarot cards, burn you at the stake for that during the Inquisition. That same crystal that you're holding right now. put you on the wood because you're honoring your ancestors. So you owe them to stand. You owe them to be the most powerful witches that you could be. Tap the hell in. Ring me up. The number of people who lost their lives through persecution for witchcraft during the witchcraft mania is not known. One estimate claims that at least 200,000 people were put to death in Germany and France. Considerably fewer were killed in Spain because of nationalistic and independent attitudes. And in England, where the pagan Anglo-Saxon law maintained that a person was innocent until proven guilty, the persecution of witches spread even to the New World, where one of the final outbursts occurred among Protestants in Salem, Massachusetts in 1692. In Salem, a group of young girls demonstrating manifestly silly behavior were labeled bewitched after a physician, failing to find any illness, claimed that the source of the problem was beyond medicine. So during the time, you go to the doctor, you're sick. If they don't know what you're sick with, you're a witch. And then they're saying 200,000, which, you gotta probably quadruple that. One of the girls attempted to change her testimony and tried to discredit that of the other girls, but the judges refused to believe her, and she herself was eventually accused of witchcraft. The resulting witch trials in a community where tension was rising between local farmers and merchants over town politics and the distribution of wealth saw some 19 alleged witches executed out of 25 brought before the court. So you have a place. There's a position that you hold, and you better get in it and be the greatest that you can be, so this nation could be saved and continue to be protected. Supreme honors to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to our Prophet, Noble Drew Ali, The mastermind. We already know he's the man. Honors to all the Moors in the chat. Love and peace to all. Islam to all.